Briefly, muscles have three main ways of acting to produce force, and most lifts have all three components in some way during each rep. The eccentric action is when the muscle lengthens under load or tension. The concentric action is when the muscle shortens under load or tension. Isometric action is when a muscle acts but doesn't change length. In most cases, eccentric muscle actions occur during the lowering phase of the lift, and concentric muscle actions occur during the lifting phase. We can emphasize isometric actions with pauses between or during reps. Rowing and erging is nearly all concentric because there are very few points in the stroke cycle where muscles are lengthening to resist gravity, external load, or other resistance. As a result, rowers are very good at concentric force production. That's great for rowing and erging performance, but it means we have a gap to fill with strength training. I'm demonstrating something here that I often see with rowers who don't attend to the lowering phase at all, treating it essentially as a controlled fall, riding the stretch reflex out of the bottom position, and then just trying to maximize the lifting phase alone. Instead, we should aim for about a 2-to-1 lowering to lifting ratio so that at least the lowering phase is noticeably longer than the lifting phase. Yes, this might mean you need to use a lighter weight until your eccentric strength and control catches up, but this is a good, productive challenge. With training, muscles can produce more force in the eccentric phase and deliver a greater muscular growth stimulus. If you're treating the lowering phase as a controlled fall, you're missing out on half the work of each rep and at least half the benefit of the strength training. You might use less weight with a controlled lowering phase, but you're also getting greater benefit by increasing muscular tension. A 2-to-1 ratio is our default setting, and you can absolutely stop here if you make this change in your strength training and have no desire to go further. For those who want more, we can add variety with tempo training or manipulations to the lowering phase, lifting phase, and any added pauses. We commonly write tempo as eccentric, isometric, concentric, isometric, or lowering, pause, lifting, pause. 2-0-1-0, therefore, is just another way of writing 2-to-1, and we can get more complex from there. I typically only use these more complex tempos with simpler, lower load assistance exercises, not main work exercises like squats, deadlifts, and overhead presses. We'll stick to 2-0-1-0 for those lifts, and then use other tempo variations for horizontal pushing exercises, horizontal and vertical pulling exercises, some hinge lifts, and single leg squats. A 3-0-1-0 dumbbell row means a 3-second lowering phase, no pauses, and a normal or 1-second lifting phase. We're increasing muscular tension further with the prolonged eccentric action. A 3-1-1-0 squat adds a pause to the bottom position of the lift to increase muscular tension again from having to stay tight in the bottom position. This also increases the challenge of the lifting phase, having to generate force without a stretch reflex. I love using tempo modifications with bodyweight rows to keep increasing the challenge from this great exercise. Rowers often go straight to a parallel body height and tell me that it's too easy, but they aren't using any eccentric control. Raise the height and slow down the eccentric, and suddenly we have lots of room to grow again. The 3-1-1-0 tempo uses a pause in the top position where the exercise is the most challenging. The Nordic hamstring curl is an exercise that maximizes eccentric action with a 5-second lowering phase and has an assisted lifting phase. The whole point of this exercise is high eccentric strain in the hamstrings with the glutes and trunk muscles working isometrically to maintain a strong position.